So I'll see how I feel tomorrow morning once I get some food in me and rest up and wake up and everything. Because usually that's when I can actually decide if a rest day is warranted. Because if I'm, obviously right now, I'm tired. I wouldn't feel like doing a workout later today, nor do I think it would be even an effective use of my time, right? I got to rest and recover. But by the time tomorrow comes around and I've had a full night's rest and I've had some meals and I've had some time to kind of freaking, just recover from all this damage, then I can make an actual informed decision on, okay, do I take a rest day today and recover? Is that actually the best move? Or can I still hit arms? And sure, my back might be a little tired, but I'm still fresh enough as a system to go on. So that's more of the stuff that I think is worth thinking about. Not exactly what specific movements you're going to do every specific lift or your split or anything else like that. Nobody became a freaking baller because they picked the perfect split. That's more of just that's an after the fact kind of thing, right? That's an afterthought. Frankly, I think the guys who really get after it, and I say this a million times, I'm kind of repeating myself here, but they're the guys who just kill it on the regular. It doesn't matter. If all I did was freaking, if I did a full, or if I did upper lower, if I did the Arnold split, or I did every other day, whatever, as long as I got after it, and as long as you're getting after it, dude, I think you're going to make gains. It's not such a, I have to make sure that my full routine is completely perfect kind of situation. It's, more so make sure your intensity is as high as you can get, and your actual set by set, day by day effort is at least up there. I'm not saying you have to redline it. Not every lift do I load up my maximum capacity and I'm completely, and I'm just perfectly in the zone. It just doesn't happen, right? We're living in reality. This isn't a damn thermodynamics problem where you assume ideal gas, right? There's a lot of kind of variables at play which you kind of have to, as a lifter, take into account and try to at least, fight against. So, maybe you feel a little scrappy, but you still kill it. Even if that lift was, not your best, you still went after it, So it's not so much exactly what you do, but I feel more so how you do it. That's kind of my main point there. If I get into a real deficit, the lifts do kind of lack a certain intensity. And I'm not saying I'm just going easy for the fun of it because I don't want to go hard, but it's the nature of just maintaining your gains and maintaining your physique. It's not the craziest thing in the world to do. Frankly, if right now I just started eating at maintenance, not bulking, not cutting, I could probably get away with I don't know how many lifts per week and just stay the exact same size. Not progress, but not, decline either, just stay where I'm at. So dieting, it's kind of like that, right? It's putting a pause on muscular progress. Now, of course, it's for the sake of getting leaner. For me, at least, in between bulks, it lets me reset my appetite, reset my insulin sensitivity and everything so that I can actually start eating food again. At the end of the last bulk, I was not chowing down much at all. I essentially taken my system to a point where it was Sam, no more food. We're good. Right? But after that whole dieting phase and essentially a break, right, it's building up that freaking, kind of appetite, that hunger. And now, even eating 3,800-ish calories a day, I'm still not even really pushing it either. That's easy. So I want to continue to increase my calorie intake slowly so I can keep progressing. Not only size-wise, but also intensity-wise. I want these lifts to be triple the intensity by the end of this bulking phase than they are now. Now, that might be an exaggeration, but it's kind of good to take things to the extreme, because at least if you fall short, you still got somewhere, right? But that's definitely the benefit, I think, of bulking and dieting back and forth like that. I'm not saying to an extreme, don't get straight, 30% body fat in a bulk, and you don't have to diet down to bone dry peeled in a cut either, right? There is kind of a good ebb and flow, but taking a break from one to do the other, shit, man, absence makes the heart grow fonder. So if I don't bulk for 5 months, you can be pretty damn sure I want to come back like a freight train. And if I haven't dieted for maybe another 6 months or 5 months, then, you know, the same thing's going to be true in reverse. Eventually, I'll have my fill of throwing a shit ton of weight around and being nice and big and bulked and full. And I'll say, all right, I want to see what I've built, and then peel down and kind of reveal the damn skyscraper by taking off all the scaffolding, which is, you know, the body fat that I start to gain. But in either case, you know, you can't be, I mean, I say this a lot, this will be my last kind of shtick before we get out of here, but don't look at the negative side, right? Everybody loves to highlight it. You know, somebody might look at even this bulk phase for me. I mean, dude, you don't think I see all sorts of crazy ass comments? You know, oh dude, Sam, you looked way cooler 2 months ago. Shit, man, I mean, I think I'd agree. I mean, I just said that shit, you know, I definitely did look cool looking in the mirror. Lean, diced, veiny, granular, fucking, you know, quad striations and feathering and everything else. But that's not a state of progressing. You know, we were, this was kind of, I don't want to say a trend, but I feel like we were seeing a little bit of a fitness phase, at least with like younger guys a couple years ago, where it was lean is law. Like that's kind of coming back now, but I mean, it was, I'm talking like every 150-pound lifter was trying to get as diced as possible. At least, well, not all of them, but a lot of like, you know, TikTok characters I was seeing. And it's like, dude, there's no point in getting a fancy ass paint job on a beater car, right? You got to fill that shit up on the inside, swap the engine, get a new transmission, you know, build up a solid framework first. And then once you start to peel down, you've at least got something to show for it, you know? So that's what I like about the back and forth, because I mean, it's like by definition, for me at least, the best of both worlds. So if I get a little soft on a bulk, who cares? And if I lose some strength on a cut, same shit, man. You know, that's just the nature of it. What are you supposed to, you're supposed to whine when winter comes around, when you're all happy in the warm summer? No, come on. Comes and goes. But yeah, it's either, okay, just do exactly what I've been doing for the last 2 years, which now is no longer working, and I'm not making progressive gains month by month, year by year, whatever, or do I change something about the equation that is my working out? Diet, training, sleep, hydration, you know, everything else. Do I change something there to try to leverage more gains potentially? And I think that somebody who goes through the process of trying to do that is in a much better position, right? Not only just the fact that they're probably going to continue to progress, but I mean, just from learning something like that, hands-on, trying to improve, you get a deeper understanding of what you're doing, and it just gets easier to continue it later on. You know, it's like IQ, right? Like every time you learn about calories, you start tracking your macros and doing your cardio and, you know, working on your progressive overload and everything else, that's just bumping up your lifting IQ. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're now, you know, a kinesiologist or a sports scientist, but it does mean that looking at your own situation and how you want to continue to progress in the gym, you're just smarter about it. You know, a damn 70-year-old guy who's been a mechanic for his whole life, he didn't go to mechanic school, but he's just been learning the shit, and he's probably smarter than any damn, you know, tech that might pop out of a damn, you know, like a Toyota co-op, or is it co-op? Well, you get the gist, right? So by learning it for yourself, kind of treating yourself like an experiment in a way of, okay, if I eat this many more carbs per day and I do this much more cardio per day, let me see what's going to happen. And actually going through that process, you're going to be a damn better lifter. At least a freaking more experienced lifter. That's 100% for sure. You know, we're going to look back at the freaking history books and think, where did it all go wrong? Where did it all go wrong? When it used to just be go to the gym, go nuts, get a pump, and, you know, eat a steak when you got back home, to all the detailed fancy pantses that we're kind of going down the rabbit hole of now. But I'm exaggerating. It's not actually that deep. It's really just a consequence of the social media side of fitness, right? And I'm not trying to I'm not saying like, oh, social media is so bad. No, I just mean, it's all about sensationalism. What's new, what's exciting. People have been doing push-pull legs for years and it's been working for years. Nah, screw that shit, man. We're doing full body. Screw that shit. We're doing upper lower. We're doing whatever. Don't freak. That's my message of the day. Don't freak about the details. If you're going hard. And if you have a scale and you weigh yourself reasonably consistently, then if you're making gains, if you're getting heavier, if you're putting more muscle on your frame. And if you're not, then that's a cue. Something's got to change. You got to train harder, maybe train more consistently, sleep more, get your diet in tune. If all those variables are just freaking, being left to the wind, what are the odds that you're actually going to make any kind of consistent progress, right? What are the odds that your car is going to make it on like a freaking road trip if you got loose freaking lug nuts, every tire's a different PSI, you're sputtering, you got one spark plug kind of just, maybe on every third rotation it'll go off, and it's just not going to work out, right? So that's where I'm trying to focus on my consistency for this bulking phase. On a personal level, what is it about pushing your body as hard as you can that provides so much fulfillment that you always come back for more? That's a good question. I'm sure at some level it's just like your own form of seeking proficiency, right? Because if anybody's good at anything, it's going to draw attention. And it's not like I'm so enlightened that it's like, oh, I don't care what anybody else thinks of me. Right? Like if you're good at something, like back when you were in elementary school and you drew the most badass caterpillar and your teacher used yours as an example, and it was like, this is how it's done. Good job, Eric. You actually paid attention. You kept in the lines. Very nice. That's probably a damn good feeling, right? So being good at anything is just going to kind of begin to develop interest for you. So whatever that thing is, odds are you're going to want to get a little better at it if you notice you have a certain proficiency. But also it's just, for me it's so simple of something to work on. Because it's definitely like some skill. There's definitely a lot of technique in the actual execution and everything else. But I think what draws me to it, which might be kind of surprising because I like so much little tinkering like computer shit, but I just like the simplicity. Because there's no, it's not like you can think a certain whatever or make sure you have your pinky at 10 degrees and it's just as simple as get amped up, go crazy, and in doing so, going home, resting, recovering, and coming back, you are stronger because of it. And something about that process and just the actual objectiveness of it really gets me going, because it's it's the simplest thing to get into. Actual skill and technique or music or art, it's very technical. It takes a long time to get good at. So maybe it's just because I'm simple-minded, but it's like pick something up heavy, throw it around, fight the burn, repeat, get bigger and stronger because of it. I don't know, man. For me, that just freaking clicks. Reverse time back to when you were 10 years old. Give your 10-year-old self an iPad with TikTok on it and Instagram. What are the odds that you're going to put that thing down for freaking any reason? Yeah, probably zero, right? And then, everybody's staying inside all day. Not ideal. Not freaking ideal. But I can say this with certainty, right? You have a weapon to fight the powers that be, which are trying to slow you down. And you know what it is? I can tell you something. Honestly, I'd say probably of equal value. Cardio machines and weights. Dude, if you freaking move your system around, and you don't have to just lift. That's my physical activity of choice. But if my thing wasn't working out, I would still want to have something, right? Like any kind of physical endeavor at all. Like the more you can move your body around, actually burn the energy that you consume, I think you're putting yourself in a better situation, right? Because I think every study imaginable would be completely tilted in the favor of adding exercise as a basic general health boost compared to just removing any one single detriment of your routine, right? I mean, let's say you take two groups. You make one group lift, and then you make the other group remove red 40 from their diet. Who's going to see more improvements? Of course, this is still bad, but this is so good and almost completely counteracts or not counteracts, but kind of dwarfs the benefits that you get from cutting anything out there, you know. And I guess that's my, that's kind of my take whenever I see anybody comment or go, or not comment, but like have a heated argument about real minute details of like lifestyle and diet and everything else. It's like, dude, if you exercise pretty hard on a consistent basis and you get, I don't even know, however many minutes of elevated heart rate, whatever cardio zone it may be throughout the week, I mean, dude, you know, anybody who's really gotten into fitness like that, they know not to stress out over the details. You know, except for the guys who go like full on off-grid homestead, completely organic, grow all their own food, eat no processed anything, and I'd probably argue they're a bit better for it. I'm kind of improving my diet slowly as well. Oh, I don't want to go too hard. I mean, you know, excuse my language. Are you freaking kidding me? You don't want to go too hard? I mean, that's nuts. I mean, I never want to even think that. You know, it's a little different if you're dieting and you're just maintaining your muscle, right? That's a different state. But if you're in an off season or you're just gaining and you're physically trying to make progress and break new ground, be it size, be it strength, I mean, shit, man, even if you're a damn, what do they call it? Hybrid athlete, right? Really, you want to go easy on your sprints, or you want to pull it? It's like, oh, I'm running the 5K. I did a mile. I don't want to go too hard. Like, dude, I think that is an absolute deterrent to progress. I don't want to go too hard, and that's something you should be thinking, right? It's, I mean, I feel like in my mind, it's maybe not a fear per se. Like, I'm not driven when I come to these workouts, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna be such a piece of shit if I can't push this set to failure. I've heard people say that. I think it's a very twisted sense of motivation, right? But it's not so much of, okay, I'm less than if I can't push it to failure. It's more so, I know I'm capable of doing it. I want to see how hard I can push it, you know? So that's my kind of driving force. So if that's the case, and I have everything in order, sleep, diet, hydration, I mean, I got my damn gallon jug of electrolytes right here with me. You know, I'm trying to keep myself extra hydrated so I can have proper electrolyte balance and everything else. If I want all that to be in order, and I do get it in order, and then I come to the gym, shit, man, right? Why chill? You know, if you're what's the word I'm thinking of? I guess I can't think of a different analogy than that. But if everything's in order, why not go as hard as you can? Right? And of course, I'm not saying, you know, go for a 4-plate bench if you've never done it, right? But I mean regular working sets. You know, if you pick a weight where you can do 10 reps, guaranteed, are you really going to go for 10? In your mind, are you thinking, okay, if I get 10, that'll be good enough? No, man, right? That freaking sucks. It's not like I do this every set, but for a good portion of my working sets, I mean, I'm trying to not even get a number in my mind. Like, I mean, of course I do. It's hard not to, right? It's hard for me to get on the incline dumbbell and not, like, have a realistic expectation. Like, okay, I might get 12, I don't know, I might get 10, you know, we'll see, right? It's hard not to do that, but I try not to, right? My real goal is I want to see just how many I can do, right? So in the beginning, I mean, those first 5 reps of the dumbbell bench and the 5 reps of that chest press, I mean, I'm not saying it was nothing, but those are well within my capability as a lifter. So why would I kind of just want to cut it when I know I'm still within an amount of reps that is in my freaking, you know, wheelhouse? You know, I want to take it further, push it beyond plus ultra to the point where like, this shit ain't moving, you know, to the point where my body isn't even listening to my mind, and I'm trying to get it to push harder, but it just won't, you know. That's what a lot of working sets should be like. Now this is a very good state for me to be in, right? And what is that state? It is being able to get in the car with a freaking tired ass chest, sweaty, semi out of breath, and I get to say, I did it. Made that shit happen. Went at least close to as hard as I could have gone on those sets. It gets a little ambiguous, right? Because it's a little tricky. Because let's say I was just a little bit extra hyped for those sets of chest press and those sets of dumbbells. Just how many more reps could I have done? You know, that's the kind of reflection I want to look at my training and actually put a little bit of thought into it and think, okay, did I really go as hard as I could? Right? Was there anything else I could have done? Should I maybe have sped up, slowed down a little? You know, I'm not saying I'm looking back at that workout like, oh my God, I should have done it like this. I'm not saying like that, right? But, you know, if you got a crazy heavy set of something or other, or just, you know, a light squeezing, burning set of something, and it's a real working set that you want to take to failure, it's not like it's so easy to train to complete failure that you can completely just do it on demand. You know, it's not that simple of a thing to do, because you really have to get into a certain state, and the harder you go, the more consistently, the easier it is to do. You know, I mean, if you took a beginner and put him under a chest press with a manageable weight, let's say he could easily do 10 reps, you know, it'd be kind of hard to get into 15, and 20 is his actual, like, physical limit. Like, let's say studies were done for a guy his size with his strength level and, you know, exposure, or, you know, let's say you got to a point where you could analyze his muscle fibers and really calculate just how much, like, potential work he could do. Let's say 20 is the real limit, right? If you took a random guy off the street where 20 was his real limit and he's never trained before, when do you think he's going to stop? You know, when do you think he's going to say, I can't do anymore? At 20? Probably not. Maybe even 10. You know, I've seen guys where they wanted to stop a set, and then luckily they've got some boys next to him who are like yelling at him like, keep going, don't rack that shit. And then the guy does another 10 reps of pendulum squats. So it's like, you were about to rack it with 10 reps in reserve? Now as a beginner, that's not a bad thing, because you're still working up to it, right? I wouldn't expect, I mean, even when I look back at myself as a beginner, you know, I wasn't taking every set to, like, complete perfect failure. Frankly, I was doing a lot of, like, just kind of fluff junk volume, I think. Not total junk. I mean, even I was definitely pushing myself pretty hard, but I could have definitely optimized my earlier workouts for sure. But what are you gonna do? It's freaking years ago. But you know, over time, as years progress, like anything, you know, if you come to the gym, essentially the practice that you're engaging in is physically pushing yourself. That's the activity that we're all coming to the gym to do. So would it not make sense that the longer you do it, the better you should get at it, right? Like if someone's been lifting for 5 years versus someone who's been lifting for 2 years, if you could somehow, like, you know, put a damn neural scanner on their head with the little, like, sticky pads and stuff, and get a reading of their, like, physical exertion levels and just how hard they're pushing themselves, the guy who's been lifting for a while should be pushing himself harder than the guy who's just kind of a beginner, you know, because he's gotten better at it. If a lifter skips his cardio, but nobody's in the gym to see it, does it really matter? You know, can it just be scoffed off as, you know, nothingness into the ethos, to be completely disregarded and forgotten about and said, no biggie, no biggie, it's not how I roll. Nobody else I know does cardio, why should I? Right? Everybody else is freaking stealing purses, why shouldn't I? Get a quick buck. You know, everybody else is well, you get the gist. But no, I was about to say, we're in this very interesting world right now, fitness-wise. I'm lifting more correctly than you are. No. You're not lifting as close to correctly as I am. You see, I'm doing it right. You're doing it freaking wrong. Yeah. I gotta pull myself out from this argument entirely. Because, I mean, it's just, I think it's a combination of factors, right? Hyper prevalence of just short form gimmick, like 5-second takes, because that's all everybody's watching now, right? Instagram Reels, TikTok Shorts, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, regular TikToks. I mean, that's our primary source of knowledge and information. 2 seconds of what this guy said. Damn, that was deep. All right, that's my new training routine for life. So it's a combination of that, more people posting, and with fitness, there's not a lot to change, right? So if you want to make it a little fancier, spice it up, you got to say some new shit. Guys, I'm no longer really working out. I'm simply visualizing my workouts. Ever since I started doing workout visualization training, dude, I've been blowing up, right? Actually, it's kind of cool because now I can just hit whatever muscle I need to hit that day in the car, or in bed, or just really anywhere, even just the comfort of my own home. Like, here, look, I'm gonna imagine myself doing a set of pull downs, and I'm gonna imagine I take it to 3 reps in reserve and really hold the squeeze with a long eccentric. Oh, that was good. Yeah, I'm getting pumped already. You can basically look at everyone's actions on a day-by-day basis, at least at a conscious level, of just an internal battle of desires, right? Do I want to be jacked? Do I want to be a guy who's in shape? Yeah. Do I want to deal with getting sweaty and doing a workout and having to drive to the gym when I could just hang out at home and sit on the couch and watch Grey's Anatomy? Ooh. Okay, actually that seems a little bit more desirable. Okay, I'll do that instead. So it's not like nobody wants it, right? But it's more of a give and take of, okay, what do you want more? And unfortunately, it's very easy to say, in this specific moment, it's worth giving up potential long-term endeavors for short-term chillness. Excuse me. And that short-term chillness, dude, that is a pit. It might not seem like a lot. And even, and of course, I'm going to take it to the extreme because I'm talking about I'm working out every day. That's just because I'm a nutcase, right? Working out 5 days a week, you're absolutely locked in. I'm probably going a little too crazy there, but that's my thing, right? Whatever. But when it comes to how often do you catch yourself making it easier for you just by chilling instead of doing something which you're going to benefit from later in the long run? Whoa, people are driving like freaking crazy next to me tonight. Well, the more often that you can catch yourself doing that, dude, you got to start changing something up, right? Because that adds up, right? Just like every lift, just like every hour of cardio, or every half hour of cardio, or maybe it might be a better time frame to say every minute of cardio. And maybe you guys aren't doing cardio by the hour, but every little detail like that, as a positive, we all know adds up. Everybody says it. It's like the classic motivational sort of speech or whatever. It's like every little, that's all I freaking say, it's like every little drop in the bucket, every calorie counted, every macro tracked, every lift done, every set done, even like a rep by rep basis. Like every rep you can do, if you can make more of them a little bit more intentional, put a little bit more emphasis on that squeeze on the top, all of those little tiny details begin to add up. Your hydration, every extra few minutes of sleep you can get, little things like that. Every day that you can be able to look back and say, okay, I had a pretty good mindset today. Everything went pretty well. I got all my stuff done that I wanted to do, balanced it out with a little bit of chill time as well. You know how to balance your own day like that. Like all those positives add up, and we know it. Whatever could you mean? don't get attached to the pump. What are you, nuts? Yeah, maybe a little. But what I'm really trying to get at is I think this is probably one of the worst, maybe not symptom, that's not the right word, but maybe perspective to have on how you look in the gym is getting attached to the peak, man, right? I mean, let's say you did a crazy cut back in high school, back in college, back in whenever, when you were a little younger, and like you were diced that you were doing 2 days in football plus your own workouts. That was your peak condition ever, right? Or, I mean, just any whatever, right? Anybody who's bulked up or cut, typically they have this kind of pinnacle that they look back on, right? Which, you know, later translates to, you know, the guy telling you he used to bench 315 back when he was your age. But, you know, what can happen is then you kind of attribute that as like what you should look like, and anything less than that, it's almost so discouraging that you might not even want to try. Right now, that's taking it to extreme. I'm not saying you, but just, you know, I can imagine somebody having that thought process. And I think how it manifests the most, at least from what I can see in comments too, is, oh man, well, people don't usually say I'm afraid to bulk. It's usually, well, you know, I don't want to get like a fatter face, right? I don't want to get a moon face. I don't want to have to deal with dieting down later. I just got abs. I've got a bicep vein. I don't want to lose it. You know, it's always like, what's the price of starting to bulk up? And I'm not saying do a damn perma bulk to 300 pounds. I mean, I'm just saying even like minor calorie surplus for a period of time to leverage just muscle growth. You know, now this is once someone has gone through the process of, they know how to work out, they've main gained for a while, you've built a pretty damn solid foundation. But eventually, main gaining only kind of works for so long, right? You got to eat enough food to facilitate growth and recovery, and then, you know, increase your training intensity accordingly, right? So if that's the case, what happens is it's kind of like a schism where it's okay. Do I just continue eating the same amount of food as normal, training the same way as normal, and just staying where I'm at? Which, depending on where you're at lifting wise, that could just be the goal, right? I'll get there eventually. You know, I'm no longer going to be like trying to get as big as I possibly can, and eventually I just want to stay the same kind of relative size and just maintain where I'm at, right? But I'm not there yet. If you are, good for you. You did it. If it's just you, or if you ever see something that could initially be taken as like a negative, like, oh, there's nobody in the gym, damn, there's no fucking energy in here, or fuck man, the gym is packed, how am I supposed to work out? You know, or anything like that. I mean, it's so easy to just look at that and then immediately take an excuse-based approach and say, oh man, it's freaking packed. You know, I'm sure some guys might even like totally throw off their lift and maybe just do some sets of curls or flies or something, because they're like, oh, all right, I got myself hyped up for a leg day, but everybody's doing legs. I didn't know Tuesday was National Leg Day. Screw it, I'll do legs later. You know, or just anything like that. It's just not really cool. So anytime you see you know, what you could potentially look at as an obstacle, if you can flip it around in your mind, you know, have at least a little bit of a chip on your shoulder kind of approach, dude, that is all the better. And for nobody else but you. I mean, you're literally just improving your situation by giving yourself a better mental perspective. I mean, I feel like I'm getting a little bit spoiled. All the comments are like, oh man, I see somewhere it's like, I thought Sam was gonna rack it, and then he went for 3 more, holy shit. And like, as cool as that is for me to hear, like, oh, I impressed somebody, honestly, I kind of like when I get dogged on, where it's like, you know, Sam, you could have done 10 more. Are you serious? You recorded that set and you posted it? You could have done 20 more. You know, honestly, that's what I want to hear a little bit more, because that can kind of get me fired up, you know. But to each their own, whatever kind of random motivational thought process you have, as long as you can convert whatever kind of outside energy into that internal hype, you know, the freaking better. So obviously, I mean, you know, there's no perfect lift. Any lift that anybody does can be a couple of goslings floating around there, but any lift that anybody ever does, it can be improved, right? But don't take that as you know, don't look at that in a pessimistic kind of way. You know, I think a lot of guys have that, or they don't think about it like that, but it's more so, maybe not just that topic, just like an overall approach to life. And I mean, you know, if you narrow that down to an approach to lifting, well, you know, that's a lot of work. Like, for what? Oh, dude. What do you mean I can't eat that? What do you mean I have to eat? Cardio? Oh, just, gross. You know, and somebody with an approach like that who can only highlight the negatives or the drawbacks or the effort something takes, look, man, no chance anybody with that mentality would ever do a set of hack squats or do a set of leg press or do even a hard leg day at all, right? It's not in their nature, you know. So try to separate yourself from anybody like that as much as possible. Not like you know, it's not like an on-contact contagion, but if you're around people like that a lot, dude, I mean, at least to some degree, their thought processes might seep into your own. You know, I reference this guy a lot. I don't know if he knows that I'm talking about him. I mean, he probably doesn't even watch these, so I mean, I don't think so. But I knew a guy where every time I'd show up to the gym, hey man, what's up? Oh, squats. Fucking hate my life. Or freaking hate this. Oh my God, I got squats today. Freaking sucks. He's a verbatim, I don't want to be here. Ugh. I should have just thrown up on the spot in disgust. All right. Night has fallen, and under the dusk, a certain set of wings shall rise, aka my lats getting pumped to SHIT. There's no denying it, you know, being essentially in a state of, you know, perpetual hunger. It's not the easiest thing in the freaking world to do, especially because there's nothing forcing you to keep going. You know, there's absolutely no law that says you can't stop at McDonald's and get a freaking big ass meal. There's no law that says you can't go in the pantry and grab some snacks and eat some ice cream, or, you know, just, you know, overshoot your calorie goal. There's nothing forcing you to do it. And frankly, it's yeah, I mean, depending on how long it goes for, which if you've got to lose, you know, you don't have to, but, you know, if you're aiming to lose 50, 60, 70 pounds, it's not a quick endeavor. You know, relatively, it can be kind of quick. I mean, I've seen like 100 pounds over the course of just about a year. You think that's pretty damn freaking rapid, you know? But it's not the easiest freaking thing in the world. So that's where I think the argument of what's harder, you know, skinny to buff versus overweight to buff. I think the overweight side is a little bit trickier because you can't half-ass it to go overweight to locked in. You know, regular dude, you can start working out, change nothing about your routine. You're gonna make gains and look like you're working out. As long as, you know, you go pretty hard, right? But for the guy who's a bit softer, you know, he's up in that, you know, 30%, 40% body fat range. You know, if he just starts working out, I mean, of course he's gonna have a change, but it takes a little bit longer. You know, if you want to get leaner too, I mean, there's just no getting around. You got to burn more energy than you're consuming. You know, so that's where I really get a little bit of a, I don't want to say a deeper connection, but a little bit of a mutual understanding where it's like, yeah, this guy knows what he's doing and he's freaking doing it, you know. So that's one of the more fun parts about that. But yeah, for this off season, I'm going to take it a bit slower and steadier with a more consistent food intake. Now what I mean by that is, you know, I mean, yesterday was probably my most bodybuilder-ish day to date, because every meal was just like rice and ground beef, or rice and tuna, or rice and eggs, you know, just pretty plain and kind of consistent like that. But the more of the, like, just rice and oatmeal and kind of potatoes that I can eat, at least as a carb source, the better. It just goes through me easier, you know? Like, because I'm one to say you can have some treats, especially in an off season, but there is a point when you're overdoing it. And it kind of, yeah, I think you've got more leeway as a beginner lifter, because you're still kind of fresh, you're still utilizing the calories appropriately, and frankly, you don't have to eat that much food. You know, you don't have to eat 5,000 calories. I'm not even eating 5,000 right now. I'm eating like 3.5, yeah, just about 3.5 so far, and I'm still slowly gaining some weight back. But you know, you don't have to eat 5,000 calories of just treats and ice cream and junk. So if you're only eating like 2,000 or 3,000 or so, and 1,000 of those grams of carbs, or 1,000 of those calories of carbs are like, you know, on the sweeter side of things, simpler sugars, it's not going to wreck you, you know. But what I'm trying to get at is there's a certain level of moderation where you can have some treats. But I mean, especially now that I'm eating this much food and, you know, having this many calories go through me every day, having them be more simple, just easily digestible foods, I mean, it's just more important. So that's one way that my dieting is kind of evolved. So I'm sure the next full day of eating won't be so egregious as ones prior. Right, pretty damn basic. And honestly, I feel like that's a little bit of a deterrent to anybody for, you know, when they really want to kind of lock into it, because they think of dieting, oh well, really, chicken and rice and broccoli 8 times a day, you know, because that's kind of all we've ever sort of heard. But I mean, shit, man, it does help to have at least easily preppable meals ready to go at least a semi-moment's notice. Because if it takes you too long to make some food, how long are you actually going to spend making it, rather than thinking, screw it, you know? But now I can tell I'm just freaking rambling. Quads, and honestly, legs in general, the black sheep of the family, oftentimes neglected, sometimes to the point that like it's not even a thought, you know, like, oh. It's like, have you ever heard somebody say something so crazy that well, it's just nuts, right? And that's my perspective when it comes to guys where I hear, yeah, you know, well, actually nobody admits it. I don't think anybody's ever actually admitted to me, like, yeah, man, I've been skipping legs. It's always, you know, if I ran into some guys and they've got like a group with them, it's always the buddies calling them out. Yeah, this guy doesn't do legs. And then the guy, shocked, as though someone just accused him of murder. What? Why would you say that about me? Why would you even say that? It's okay. It's all right. This is a safe space, and frankly, anybody that's here now, I would imagine you guys do train legs. You know, checking in for some of the quad training updates. So I'll give you a little tip, or I guess more so just kind of talk about something I've been really thinking of quad-wise. So I got to dig deep, man. I mean, with everything else, I guess you could say almost the ease of difficulty of taking a set to crazy failure, not the wildest thing in the world. You know, I'll have some trouble with some sets of triceps. Like if it's an overhead rope extension and it's really burning, or like a squeezing rope extension, you know, sometimes I can tell. I'm like, I'm not just gonna give up, but it's like, am I really pushing as hard as I possibly can? You know, because the last thing I want to do is give up on a set pre-failure, right? I want to be right at that kind of threshold. And with quads, I'd say it's honestly the most difficult out of anything, just because they're freaking huge, man. Your quads are capable of moving around so much freaking weight that if you really want to hit like straight up quad failure, I mean, it's not a trivial activity. You know, it's not just, okay, let's hop on the leg extension for a couple sets, you know, just kind of whatever, move it around. At least for me, as of the last few bulks that I've been kind of prioritizing more heavy pressing, I mean, it's almost, with chest or with back, you know, I'll have a real heavy fresh set where I'm music playing, getting real amped up. You know the look, right? You know the kind of setup. But with quads, it's not just 1 or 2 sets. Honestly, I want to get like that for all of them, because when I really kill it on all, you know, 7, 8, I don't know, maybe even getting into 9 sets total, we'll have to see. But if I actually make sure I really wreck them on every set, it does give me a different sensation afterwards. Plus, in the long run, I do see better quad gains. And what the hell do I want if not bigger quads? You know, so I do the same set of squats, except, you know, it was just in a completely damn empty gym. I mean, there's one girl who I saw in there all the time. She must have just had a night shift job, but she'd always roll in basically on the dot at 1:30. So we never talked, but you know, I think we had at least a reasonably mutual understanding that we were both on our grind, which is kind of nice, you know. That's one thing that I think is understated about going to the gym, is if you go enough, you start to get, you know, in tune with the regulars, and you know, don't think that they don't notice you. You know, if you even if you don't have any buddies in the gym, if you show up enough, people know you're there, right? I think you should go up and talk to them, ask them for a spot, ask them for whatever, you know, ask them how they're doing. I'm totally getting off on a tangent here, but that's definitely a good message to send out, I feel, because I mean, I'll go to the, you know, I've still got a rotation of gyms because I'm going to be here for a while. I'm not going anywhere. So the private gym, the Y, some Planet Fitness, some Anytimes. I mean, half of the benefit of the gym for me, maybe not half, but a good chunk of it, it's just fun, man. I get to talk to some folks, have a little bit of a social hour. It's definitely a highlight of my day. Not only the fact that I like the gym, but also, you know, just running into people. Like, shit, man. This is like 2 hours of my day. I'm sweating, I'm uncomfortable, this is hard, and I look exactly the same as I did 2 weeks ago. What the hell, man? This is not worth it, you know? So in the guy's mind, he literally argues to himself, all this work that I'm putting in, or that I just put in for the last 3 weeks, if these guys even, like, you know, lock in for that long, it's like, yeah, you know, 3 weeks of grinding for what you might be able to say is nothing, or potentially only maybe negatives. Like, you might be feeling kind of sore outside of the gym. It might be making you extra tired. It's taken away from some of your free time of just chilling. I mean, I get it, right? But that's where you got to go into it, or at least somebody who isn't locked in yet, or maybe has kind of fallen out of their workout routine. Like, shit, man, don't forget, this is like month by month semi-noticeable progress. Now, of course, how many months are you gonna be floating around for? A damn ton? Like thousands? Well, 1,000-ish, or something along those lines. So it's like 1 or 2 months of hard work for not really much results. Shit, man, I mean, you know, imagine going to work every day and not getting a paycheck for 3 months, right? It's kind of demotivating. So all I can say there is, shit, man, thug it out, right? There's a certain barrier to entry of working out, which once you get past the threshold and you start to notice some payback, some actual returns on your investment, that's when it starts to click, right? So that's you climbing up the hill, going up the ski lift, whatever. And once you reach that point where you're like, whoa, I actually feel a little bit bigger, right? You're like Tobey Maguire from the first Spider-Man. Or if you ever hear somebody tell you, like, dude, you been working out? You know, like, just little things like that. It might not seem like much. I mean, to somebody, well, to the uninitiated at least, you know, who even cares, right? Like, these, somebody who doesn't care about working out, the idea of, like, oh, that's a really cool feeling to hear external, you know, validation that what you've been doing has been working. They don't care, you know, so these guys aren't into it. But for you, right, once you reach that point where you're like, oh, crap, this shit's been working, right? All this effort I've been putting in has actually resulted in something tangible and noticeable, and that I enjoy. And then on more like a, you know, subconscious level, you're getting all sorts of damn good feel-good hormones and everything else, endorphins, freaking dopamine, and in a good way, not like in a scrolling for 4 hours on TikTok kind of way. And once you get past that threshold, then things start to move on their own, right? You're eventually going to get to a point, at least hopefully, where the working out, it's not a chore. It's not on the to-do list. It's on your get-to-do list, right? Nobody looks at a vacation itinerary and thinks, oh crap, okay, I gotta pack my bags, and I gotta check into this, and I gotta go down this water slide, and I gotta go on this boat ride, and I gotta go sit on the beach for 3 hours and play. No, you get to do that, man, because it's fun, because you want to do it, right? I mean, what am I thinking? I just remember like some kind of analogy. Yeah, whatever, I forget now. But it gets taken off of your to-do list, and it becomes something that you actually are excited for, that you enjoy, and it'll eventually get to a point where it's just what you do. You know, making gains constantly, not constantly, but you know, having a workout scheduled in your day, it's just a part of what you get to do, right? And it's a fun part. So that's why, you know, kind of repeating myself from yesterday. But once you get past that threshold where you start to realize, okay, all this effort I've been putting into these workouts has resulted in something. All right. Shit, man, nice. Well, maybe I should try to improve and kind of optimize my effort and get better results, you know? And I don't think you should immediately go down the rabbit hole of like, okay, I'm going to start making sure my workouts are perfectly optimized and I'm going to do short head and long head and whatever else. Like, of course, work out in such a way that you're excited about. So if you like to look at it as that hyper analytical scientific vector of everything else and like meso, like that's totally solid, right? Make sure your intensity is up there. But if that's what, you know, your mind clicks with in terms of getting your training going, solid. I'm not going to dog on you for that. That's just, as long as you're getting pumped and you're making gains, sweet. What I'm more concerned with though is, okay, all right, I just had a pretty good chest day, and honestly I didn't really get that good of sleep last night. I bet if I went to bed a little earlier and got some more good sleep, I'd be a bit more well rested and I'd have a better workout. And then I'd recover better and make more gains while I'm sleeping, come back bigger, lift harder, be tired, come back, sleep like it's, right? Little things like that. So that's the non-flashy part of the working out, which if you can get yourself excited about, because you can kind of wire in your mind like, okay, if I sleep well, if I drink enough water, if I get a good amount of meals in, then my training is going to improve and my gains are going to improve, right? Upward freaking spiral. So that's all I'm getting at there, right? So once you get past that point of no return, as I would say, the likelihood that you're going to keep improving, right, and keep you know, kind of chopping off all the little sharp edges and crevices around the boulder of your gains, the easier it's going to be to push it. The faster you're going to get it rolling, the further you're going to go. You know, so for the most part, I'm not concerned with my food quality when I'm dieting, because the only foods I can kind of eat are quality, right? I mean, I'm eating only whole protein sources: egg whites, ground beef, ground turkey, canned tuna. And then for rice, I mean, I just don't have that, or for carbs, I just don't have that much at my freaking disposal, you know? I mean, it's hard to get to 100 grams of carbs evenly throughout the day unless it's all coming from like just friggin' straight up vegetables or rice cakes, which I would say are pretty much in the green in terms of our subjective health analysis. But bulking wise, yeah, less treats the better, in the sense that I want more of my meals to look pretty classic bodybuilding style, right? I'm talking pastas, I'm talking rice, I'm talking potatoes, I'm talking, well, the protein isn't going to change. Ground beef, eggs, tuna, turkey, like that's kind of just a staple. There's no getting around the protein. I want those to be solid ass whole protein sources. But if I'm going to reach a point where I'll be eating like 800 grams of carbs a day, it's just going to be easier to get that through my system if it's, you know, plainer, simpler foods. And that's something which has taken me a while to wrap my freaking head around. But that's kind of the whole shtick I'm trying to get at. Right? You got to try your own stuff, improve your routine gradually over time, and then before you know it, you're going to catch yourself being a freaking smart fella, right? Instead of a fart smelling. With all the bulking up and everything else in the cardio, I'm used to, more effort lining up directly with more results, right? More cardio, leaner. More, well, just regular ass intense workouts. More food, bigger, right? And vice versa. But yeah, these weeks have been kind of a little more interesting, because instead of just going hard physically, it's more of a mental battle. And really, the mental battle that's fighting me the hardest is the fact that I'm just thinking about that little freaking drawer in there. But I'm not so crazy that I would totally blow the carving up plan literally the night before. I mean, come on, there's been like almost 150 days of deficit activities. What's one more? You know, it's like zilch. This might be a little this might be a little too dramatic for every pose down. So Question freaking remains: what the hell do I name this place? And don't don't get confused. I do not want this to just be for me. Like, this is crazy. And in a way, it kind of is, because now I've got full access to a damn freaking. In terms of just the space and density, like just around where I live, at least, I can't think of a gym that kind of beats it. At least for me, which is kind of the point. It's like each of these pieces were sort of catered specifically to stuff that I want to use. Right? Look around. No deadlift platform. No flat bench. I was saying, it's like, I don't want this to just be like a hidden gem. I'm talking, we gotta bring some characters in here. Get some damn freak offs like we were talking about, just see who can get the craziest pump. Because so far, at least within here, I'm kind of the record holder. I have just got the craziest pump that has ever been achieved in this gym. Undefeated, no contest. But, let's say we get a couple of freaking, 270-pound freaks, 280-pound freaks in here. I might get dethroned. In my own space. But that's kind of the fun part. So I'm still going to go to all my other gyms too. Like, this isn't the end-all be-all. But I'm sure for now, especially with the novelty factor, I'm not going to want to go anywhere else, at least for the next couple of weeks or so. So I think that's all I got, man. I also want to make this kind of like a hub. Not like, not having a... I just mean bringing a bunch of characters out from, all over the woodworks. Because how long's it been? It's been like almost 2.5 years of just straight sand lifts. I think we should dabble out and get a couple characters out here. Because once I start lifting, I'm going to hold all the records in this gym. If it's just me, I could bench the 30s, and that'd be the heaviest bench in the space, right? Or, whatever pose down I get later, that'll be the freakiest pump that's ever been achieved in here. But I wouldn't mind getting dethroned. It's just more motivation for later. So I think that's kind of the gist of it. We'll get a bit more of the kind of story and progress tomorrow in the install video, but yeah, this is what we'll be working with. Who would have thunk it? Right, we got this place freaking stocked up. And, this might seem like an overnight kind of whatever, as though this has just spawned in. Not exactly. This has been quite a while in the making. The only thing I think that I might be regretting is I wonder if I should have got heavier dumbbells. In my mind, I was thinking, let's just go to 150 so that I don't go too heavy and like tweak something. But we're not even a month into this bulking phase. We're only like 3 weeks in. So just from having carved up, the 150s are moving. Like the first set was 150-16, and I'm still kind of regaining sort of full strength. Like I'm, who's a character that kind of does that, right? I haven't read Invincible. I don't know the Thrag references, but I'm getting back to kind of full power. So I don't know. You be the judge. Should we branch out? Should we breach into new territory? I've never done a set with anything heavier than 150-pound dumbbells, and part of me wants to keep it that way. But then there's that freaky part in there too that's like, bench the 175s. Bench the 175s. And that's a strong voice. It's quiet, but it's very strong. But we'll save that for later on. So, day one in here, Day one, more to freaking come. So, I'm gonna get home, get some sleep, and get ready for a back day in here tomorrow. So, I'll see you then. Make my pose downs look freakier. Not exactly too late to make the space look freakier. But either way, this is reasonably freaky.